Hey guys, welcome to Dylan Soul Hobbies, and today is the day. Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi book review. I finally got a chance to not only buy, but read the book, and let me tell ya. Well, let me just get this out of the way. Let me just completely get this out of the way. The author of the book is Jason Fry, and let me tell ya, the way Jason Fry writes the book, I absolutely love the way he wrote the book. The way he explained how the Force kind of works within the scenes of the movie was just absolutely fun to read. It actually made the scenes from the movie more entertaining than the movie itself, in my opinion. It was just absolutely fun. It actually felt like I was being explained in the book. It felt like I was being explained about the Force by Yoda with the way that he wrote the scenes. You know, with them tapping into the Force and how the Force is surrounding them in this net of energy. I absolutely just loved it, and I just sucked it all up. It was absolutely a phenomenal joy the way he wrote the book, okay? So the problem is not the way he wrote the book. Jason Fry did an absolutely job. In fact, he did a way better job than what the movie did, in my opinion. Now, on the movie side, let me get this out of the way. If you look at the movie, not the story, but the movie, I don't think anyone's dumb enough to complain about the movie itself, because the movie itself is phenomenal. I mean, the way the characters look in the movie look like they are actually a part of the Star Wars world, and how all of the aliens, even the aliens on that one planet, they look real. They look alive. You know, and I'm not saying that every character has to be CGI, but a really good example of a add CGI character is Yoda from the original Episode 1. Look at that. I'll show you a picture. Look at that. That is not my Yoda. That is not my Yoda. It looks fake in a lot of the things in Episode 1 and the prequels. This is not a bite against the prequels at all. This is a bite against the movie of the prequels. They just don't look real. It's not that it doesn't look Star Wars. It's that they don't look real. And Star Wars, to me, on the big screen, always should look real. You know what? Even with the cartoons, they look like they're in the Star Wars universe. They look like they are real. And that's the amazing part about Star Wars Rebels and Star Wars The Clone Wars. It looks and feels like Star Wars. It looks and feels real. That's the best part about the Star Wars universe to me, and Episode 1 didn't have that. In Episode 2, they kind of fixed it. In Episode 3, again, just way too much CGI in those movies. But back on Episode 8, Episode 8 was brilliant when it comes to the look of it. Everybody looks like they belong in the Star Wars universe. And of course, the music. The music sounded like Star Wars, you know? I hear some people had problems with the music in Rogue One, and some people even had problems with the music in Episode 7. I didn't. I thought it felt like Star Wars in Episode 7. I thought it felt like Star Wars in Rogue One. But the music in Episode 8, spot on. It sounds like Star Wars. It was brilliant just to listen to the soundtrack of Star Wars Episode 8. So there isn't a problem with the music. There isn't a problem with the way people look. There isn't a problem with the special effects. And, you know, I know a lot of people are complaining about the humor in the movie. You know what? There's only one joke in the movie, and it's in the book too. There's only one joke in the entire movie that honestly, not only did it not feel like Star Wars to me, but it felt unnecessary and it felt out of place. You know that joke with the joke where Kylo Ren doesn't have a shirt on. What was the point of that joke? Like, I know jokes don't have to have a point, but that just felt so out of place. It didn't feel like Star Wars to me, it just felt so out of place. And I know a lot of people say the humor feels like Marvel in the episode 8 movie. I understand where they're coming from, and I can see the humor being a little bit Marvel-like, but it never bothered me. It never took me out of the Star Wars feel. The only joke that ever did that for me was Kylo Ren shirtless. Like, why did we need that? It was stupid to see that. And it's in the book as well. It's a bad joke to me. It really is. I didn't laugh at it. I felt kind of weird seeing that. My personal opinion. That's all I'll say about that. Yeah, that's the only one that took me out. But I'm not going to hammer down on Star Wars Episode 8, the movie, because of a bad joke, or in the book. I'm not going to say I absolutely hate the story of Star Wars just because of one little bad joke that I honestly felt like was really not necessary and not done well. I'm not going to do that. The thing about Star Wars Episode 8 that we all, and I mean all of us, have a problem with is not the humor, is not the special effects, not the way it looks, not the sound. Sound is amazing. It's the story itself. The story itself I have problems with. Okay? Let me talk about those problems that I had with Episode 8. Because you know what? They're in the book as well, for God's sakes. The book is the exact same story as Episode 8. Written different, written very well in my opinion, the best it could be written, the best, I'd probably say if it wasn't for the story of Episode 8, this was probably the best Star Wars book we've ever had from Jason Fry. It was the author of the book, Jason Fry, did a phenomenal job on writing this book. It was great, absolutely amazing. But the story itself I have problems with, and let me explain what my problems with the story is. Okay, so I can't remember her character's name. I'll show you a picture of the character. It's Leia's friend, and you know what? In the Leia novel, I absolutely loved the character in the Leia novel. I do not remember her name at all, and I simply just don't care to remember her name. Because you know what? Both in the movie and in the book, I absolutely despise the character. I don't like the character. And the whole thing about that really makes me despise her is the fact that she won't tell the darn plan. I mean, I understand. You don't need to tell everybody the plan. But she didn't even tell Poe, who, by the way, Poe is a guy who isn't just a cadet in the Rebel Alliance. He's a guy who is obviously captain, used to be general, now he's a captain. But he's a guy who is trusted by Leia. You don't think that you honestly think you can't tell him, a guy who is trusted by the princess, by the entire boss of all of the Rebel Alliance, or whatever they call themselves in the movie. You don't think you could trust him just to tell him that there is a plan? Not that you tell him what the plan is, but that there is a plan. She doesn't even say there is a plan. It annoys the heck out of me, and it pulls out this whole dumb storyline where Poe and Finn and Rose come up with that stupid plan to go and get a code breaker break into Snoke's ship, and then absolutely just it's a stupid plan. It's a stupid plan, and there was no point to that plan. It could have been prevented. What I would do, this is what I would do if I was writing that. If I could rewrite Star Wars Episode 8. Nothing against Jason Fry, but everything against the story itself. What I would do is that I would write that she, while reluctantly, she does give them the plan. And then they decide, you know what, the plan might work, but it has a big chance of failure, so why don't we come up with a way to distract the, I almost say the Empire, Snoke and the game back there. And that, of course, leads them to go onto Snoke's ship, messes it up, and then we could, we also could of course, fall onto, I can't remember the name of the planet, hold on. Canto Bight, that's the name of the planet. So, if they're going to go to Canto Bight, I think it would be awesome if they got onto Snoke's ship first, caused a problem, then landed on Canto Bight with the First Order, especially with Captain Phasma chasing Finn the entire time. I think I would like Canto Bight a lot more if it ended up being a gigantic chase scene with the Empire, instead of just a couple of cops from Canto Bight. Because I thought the whole thing about Canto Bight was ridiculous. I absolutely just hate it. And that's why I forgot the name. I literally had to go back and look up the name just now for the name of the planet, because I just hate the name of the planet. Because, of course, I just hate the entire scene. And when I read it in the book, I rolled my eyes. I did actually read all of it because I wanted to see the difference between the book version to the movie version, and there arguably is a difference, but everything in the book about Canto Bight, I roll my eyes at, and I just think if my way would have been so much better if we went to Snoke's ship, messed with the First Order first, and then landed on Canto Bight, and then had the First Order come and try to follow, or at least Captain Phasma come with a bunch of stormtroopers and try to follow Finn and Rose and just try to capture them and dispose of them. Making a gigantic chase scene, you know what I mean? I think that would have been much better, but that didn't happen. Moving on. The whole thing about Canto Bight and the whole thing about Leia's friend, I absolutely just despise. It's so, I roll my eyes at it, it's so boring, and it's in the book as well. It's simple. If you absolutely hated the story, not the movie, but the story of Episode 8, or hated everything about Episode 8, you're gonna hate everything about the book. Am I right? Now, I loved the movie. I absolutely loved what they did with Skywalker's character. I know the whole thing about throwing the lightsaber over the shoulder for the cheap joke was kind of a disrespect to the fans, in my opinion, but in the book, he just seems to kind of throw it over, not over his shoulders, but just like tosses it over. If he did that in the movie, I feel like it could have still sent a message that he wants nothing to do with this anymore, because I like the idea of Luke wanting nothing to do with it anymore, you know? After everything this guy has been through, it just makes sense that he's gotten tired of it all. It just makes sense. We all get tired of things eventually, right? It just makes sense that he got tired of it all and came to this planet to die, and now it's this little girl that he has no idea who she is, tries to convince him to come back. I like it. And eventually, of course, she does somewhat convince him to help the Rebel Alliance. He does help them at the very end. And I just love the entire story of that. I love Kylo Ren in this book. I love Snoke in this book. And I really like the fact that Snoke is just an alien. Everyone, we don't need his backstory. Do we want to know his backstory? Of course we do. But we didn't know Palpatine's backstory in episode 4, 5, and 6. We just kind of learned that in episode 1, 2, and 3, but we didn't need to know his backstory. What I want to know is how Snoke got Kylo Ren on his side. That's what I want to know, because we got to know how the Emperor got Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, to be on his side. That's all I want to know. I basically want a Kylo Ren backstory. I really don't care about Palpatine. I really don't care about Snoke's backstory. And Palpatine's backstory, we eventually did get in the books. Of course, they're legends now, but my point. We could get a Snoke backstory book. Do I need one? No. I want to know Kylo Ren's backstory, and I hope in episode 9 we just learn more of Kylo Ren's backstory and find out how Snoke got him to basically be on his side. And I absolutely love the fact that Rey comes from no one, comes from nowhere. Because you know what? You don't need to be special to be great. You don't need to come from amazements to be amazing. It's just that simple. And I like the fact that she is basically from nowhere and just kind of a tool that the Force is using, just like the Force is, of course, using Kylo Ren to, of course, bring balance between in the dark and the light. That's just what I like about it. I like that part of the story. I have no problem with it. The only problems I really have is, of course, Canto Bight and Leia's friend. I honestly feel like feel like it should have been Leia's friend who destroyed herself in that scene with the spaceships. I think it should have been Admiral Akbar, because here's the thing: we didn't even get a chance to mourn the death of Admiral Akbar, and Admiral Akbar is really important to the Star Wars universe, and we don't even get a chance. He technically dies off screen. We don't even get a chance to mourn his death. So that annoys me. I think it would have been better if it was Admiral Akbar that died by giving himself up for the Rebel Alliance. I think that would have been way better received by not just me, but of the Star Wars fans. But here's the fact: it didn't happen. Okay, so get over it. Yeah. All I could say is, towards nothing against Jason Fry. Jason Fry did a phenomenal job at writing the book, and I love the way he wrote the book. But the story itself, I have problems with. Okay, so I can't really give this that great of a review. I guess I'd say the book is way better than the movie. About 9 out of 10, maybe. While the movie I gave even a lower rating than that. This was a phenomenal job by Jason Fry, it really was. And I think the beginning with of course, Luke, the idea that Luke never went to with Obi-Wan, and he has a wife on Tatooine, never left Tatooine, I thought was absolutely interesting and a really good way to start off the story of Episode 8, kind of like this dream world. I thought that was really interesting, and one of my favorite things in the movie that I wish was in the book. I don't know why it was cut from the movie. We got all of that Canto Bight stuff, but we couldn't have had 5 minutes of this scene. This scene would only be like 5 minutes, but there's this part of the book where Rey, you see, remember those caretakers on Octil with Luke and Rey, and apparently in this one scene, Luke tells Rey that these pirates are coming to get the caretakers, and he tries to explain that a true Jedi doesn't mess with anything that happens unless something is unbalanced in the Force. And she just goes crazy and tries to stop the pirates. But guess what? They weren't there to attack. They were there to throw a party. She interrupted a party, and then we had this really nice scene where Luke actually danced with her. I wish I saw it in the movie. I think it would have been way better than anything we got from Canto Bites. Another thing that I absolutely loved in the book that we really didn't get in the movie, but it's like, you really couldn't fit this in the movie, but here's the thing. We get to learn through the minds of the characters, right? We get to hear what they are thinking in the scenes of the movie. And my favorite part of this entire thing is BB-8. BB-8 absolutely rocks in the book. He was cool in the movie. He rocks in the book, and I love the joke in the book that nobody cares about droid. Nobody cares about droid. They see a droid, oh, it's a droid, walking on. Nothing out of place here. I love the fact that just no one cares about droid. Even if it's an orange droid, and absolutely, where it looks completely out of place against all the black and whites of, the Empire, it's a droid. Nobody cares about droid. No one thinks twice about a droid. I love the joke. I love that. I love that. BB-8 in this book. Best character, in my opinion. I think I liked him more than I liked Kylo Ren. Anyway, the only thing that I also didn't like about the story itself is I wanted Luke to survive through Episode 9. He didn't do that. And I feel like Rey... I absolutely feel like Leia should have probably died in the movie as well as in the story of the book, but I really like the scene at the end with Rey. I really do, between Rey and, of course, Leia. It's way better in the book than it is in the movie, and I'm pretty sure they're just going to write off the story in Episode 9. In the crawl, they're probably just gonna write her off in the crawl in Episode 9. So, yeah, but anyway, rest in peace, Carrie Fisher, of course. You know, she done a fabulous job in the movie, and I absolutely love everything that Leia does in the book. And we actually get a little bit more of Leia in the book, and you know what? I wish this was hinted at in the movie. It really wasn't, but in the book we do get some clarification that she actually did get some training from Luke. Look, it's not like she can pull out a lightsaber and jump 1,000 feet in the air or anything like that, but she does, thanks to Luke, she does understand what the Force is, and that it's a net of energy combining the galaxy together that flows through all of us, and she does know how to tap into the Force. That's what I like. I like the fact that we knew that, and the scene with her flying in space really doesn't bother me in the book as much as it does in the movie. I thought it was fantastic in the movie. I just wanted I wanted an explanation of how she was able to do that. We get that explanation in the book, and because of that explanation, I thought of this. Wouldn't it be insane? Wouldn't this be absolutely amazing if at the end, you know, when Leia, well actually it's Rey, she uses the rocks, she floats the rocks to save the Rebel Alliance, and then of course Poe comes out, not Poe, but Finn runs out to hug Rey at the end. How awesome would it be if it was Leia who used the Force to move those rocks, if not alone with Rey? I think that would have been way better. We didn't get to see that, but I wished I saw Leia use the Force more. And maybe they were planning to do that in Episode 9, now they can't, I have no idea. But anyway, there's my review for Episode 8, the book. I loved the book. I loved the movie. I have problems with the story itself. That's it. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you absolutely hated episode 8, or if you liked it or loved it, if you have problems with the story, or what is your problems with the story of episode 8. That's a good one. What is your problems with the story of episode 8? Are your problems the same problems that I have with episode 8? Thank you guys for watching, and I'm out. Bye!